Oh, hi, Josh.
Oh shit! Are we doing this tonight?
I mean, allegedly. Well, that was supposed to be a joke, but Josh might be done before we get started. Holy shit.
Ah,
I mean, holy shoot. Huh. Definitely not
that
another
was
word,
stitch.
YouTube angry people. Wait, no, you can use that in a comedy context in the beginning of videos now, I think. Or have
I
been for a
didn't hear
while. I
anything
don't
you
know.
just said. I was
Perfect.
pretending to
Hopefully
choke on my
YouTube
drink.
didn't either. Yeah. Hopefully YouTube's choking on this drink.
Oh shit!
So it doesn't hear either. Distraction. Anyway.
Hi everybody.
Oh, I thought you were going to continue on with that.
I probably should have. Hi everybody, I'm Josh. I am Sorvam Hale from the Black Tower podcast. I'm gonna start learning how to say that in other languages because I think it'll be fun. And yeah, welcome to another weekly. Welcome to another dose of taint. Open your mouth and close your eyes, and then you'll get a big surprise.
I don't know if I like that plan of action. Sounds like a good way to get your eyes glued shut by accident. Not that I would know. The important lesson from that is just to don't procrastinate cleaning things that are dirty, Then it gets stuck on there, it dries, and you're screwed.
That is an important lesson.
That's the lesson.
Don't be like Mr. Krusty Pants that was next to me at plasma donation today. Don't do that. It's bad.
Well, anyway, self-starch your own pants. You have a problem. Anyway, I'm Andrew. I'm your Bajan Mahal. I do some things and I don't do the other things, and
I've seen him.
You can let your imagination run away with what those things may or may not be.
You can. That's true.
Artist interpretation.
Artist interpretation. And if you were sitting around one day just being like, dang, my life is not tainty enough, and you thought you need more taint in your life, did you know that you can go to blacktowerpod.com and right there is our taint dispenser, also known as our merch store. And you can taintify yourselves to let everybody know that you are deliciously tainted. And you'll be offering them scoops of tainted love. Because that's what you do as a tainted patron of the Madman's Peace. By the way, that's a dope name for a tavern, and I'm so glad that we thought of it first.
Oh, the Madman's Peace?
Yeah, it's copyrighted, by the way, for any of you who want to steal it.
Hopefully.
It's so copyrighted. I copyrighted that so hard.
Official. It's registered. It's copyrighted within the geographical and political borders of the state of Utah.
That's right.
We couldn't afford the nationwide, much less the worldwide copyright.
The international patent that's still not recognized in Syria, Morocco, and Madagascar.
To be fair, I think there's a lot that's not recognized in some countries. True. I'm going to leave it at that. Anyway, we're super excited about this episode.
Dude, this is going to be cool. This is a cool one.
It's going to be beyond cool. This thing, it's going to be fucking epic. Y'all are going to love it. We already love it.
I hope you have your headphones on. I hope you're listening closely because this is going to be a good one. Also, Lumi says hi. Hi, Lumi. Again. Say hi.
Reprising their role from last week. Lumi, the dog.
Invading. You just don't care about anything but yourself, do you?
But yeah, so one of our fantastic friends over at Road to Tarvalon wound up connecting us with our fantastic guest today. And we got to sit down and talk a little bit a couple days ago, plan this out and have this happen. And thankfully schedules worked out to where pretty much almost immediately we're able to go ahead and bring them on.
Yeah. Think about that though, guys. Think about that. We met and spoke with this person just a couple of days ago, and we're so excited about what this person does that we wanted them on immediately.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. It's just exciting.
Our
Just
guest, Rafe Judkins. No, not Rafe.
yeah, right. I wish. No. Yeah.
But fantastic guest. Anyway, come on in and say hi to everybody there.
Hello, everyone. Hope we're doing well.
Everybody's now watching, being like,
Who's
"Who's
this?
this guy?
Who's this?
Why are they so excited about
This
this
isn't the
guy?"
showrunner for the.
You're gonna be like, well,
That's
it's
not
probably
Rafe.
just because of the name Jordan, Robert Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. I got the 2 initials, just in the wrong order.
That's right. They're back. Oh, dude. That's it. That's why we were so excited.
Yeah. Okay, see ya.
Okay. As
Not a
many
part
of you
RJ,
know, we've
but
started.
we got JR.
That's right. We can't get RJ or RJ2, but we got JR. That's fine. Okay, so as many of you know, we tried to do like a first time reader. We're starting to move into like a first time reader kind of a segment. And Jordan, you've actually got a real interesting experience with reading the books. Do you want to go ahead and just tell us, how you found the books, why you started reading them? Introduce us to your experience in being introduced to the Wheel of Time.
Definitely.
Actually, you could probably introduce yourself first and tell everybody where you're from and what you do. And
Yeah. My name's Jordan, as you can see there on the screen. I'm an audio engineer and a composer, and I'm in Ontario, Canada. So my little quick story, I'll try to make it brief, is I edit for a Tolkien podcast called the Prancing Pony Podcast. Some of you might know of that podcast. And through that podcast, I'm good friends with a lot of Tolkien people. And I started editing a little bit of a new podcast called Watch Party Wheel of Time. And until their host took over because I didn't have time and they could do it anyways. So I got to see a couple of episodes of the first season of Wheel of Time because of that. And I had been aware of the series, but I'd never read it before. So probably 3 or 4 episodes in, maybe at the most, I was like, okay, where's the audiobook for this thing? And got myself the first audiobook and dove in and caught up. I might have finished the first book before the end of the season. I think I wanted to make sure that I got there before the finale. So from that point on, though, after the first season ended, I read all of the other books and finished them before season 2 started. So I was obviously in. I was in.
That feels like feverish levels of reading, man.
I will say for books probably 12, 13, and 14, I was going on like 1.5, 2 hour long walks every day because I had to get back into it. I had to know what was going on.
So when Brando Sando took over, that's when it really kind of.
Well, that's when I was like, okay, I'm in the end game now. I gotta. You can feel everything start to head back, to the finish line. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just go straight through. And I mean, I have memories of reading, parts of the other books and even parts of book 10 where I had heard like rumblings that, some parts of the fandom think that there's like a lull in that, and I can kind of see that, but I was so in anyways that I didn't even notice. I like after that happened, I was like, wow, really? People think that? That's crazy.
The slog is a lie. The slog is a lie.
I was too invested. So that's my kind of story of how I read them, and I'm on I started right back from the beginning again as soon as I finished. So that's probably going to be my life from now on because it makes sense.
It's like that TikTok audio that's going on. Well, this is going to be my personality for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
They do say that the best series to read after you finish Wheel of Time is wheel of time again.
Exactly.
It's true.
Yeah.
That is 100%
It's
true.
very true. Yeah.
So,
Like
so
Pringles.
do you have
Can't
plans
read it
for a
just once.
reread in the near future?
I'm gonna just continually reread, I think. Especially because I find, with I'm a big audiobook person. That's pretty much all I do. And it's the kind of thing that I can just fall back into. And, as I'm doing chores or something like that, cleaning up the house, I'll notice that I've gone through 2 or 3 or 4 chapters, and I don't know. I just love being there,
Yes, I do know.
I think you guys might know.
So,
I have
what's
an
your
idea.
favorite organization in the books, and why is it the Black Tower?
All right. Well, you got my answer. Good.
Okay, but like, do you have like a favorite group,
Hmm.
a favorite peoples or credo or nation? Hi, Lumi. You want to say hi? Say hi. Yes, you're pretty. You're very pretty.
Especially, this might just be because I just started over again recently, but I just really love how, like, going back to Emmons Field, how like self-contained everyone is, and how clearly that comes across. That they're just like, this is a kingdom. Never heard of that. It's very like, it might be because it's very Tolkien, that kind of like the Shire of this world, we're just kind of tucked away in the corner. And I grew up in a small town, so it definitely fits for that. So, but I remember reading, and when the Black Tower stuff came around, I was like, okay. There's so many times during the series where I'm like, wow, so this is gonna happen. That's crazy. So, yeah.
For anybody listening, wondering about spoilers, because normally we do a spoiler warning, we're going to try to keep this spoiler free past book 1.
Where possible.
Book 1, and then so basically full spoilers for book 1 and the TV show, because what happens in the TV show may or may not happen in the books. So
That's true.
Yep.
The themes are very much similar or the same, depending on who you ask and how much Amazon puts in the next check that they don't send us. How much fuel they
I called
put
him
into
Bezos the other day. He was like, "What? You didn't get your check?" I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't wait for it." He's like, "It's in the mail. It's on its way."
Well, they gave me the option to where it's like, GameStop credits. You get 25 cents for 300 games, or you can get $20 in in-store credit. That's what they offered me. They were like, we can pay you the money that we agreed to, or we can give you this gas card that's got 15% more value on it for the yachts. So I went with the gas money on the yachts. So, but yeah, so that's the spoilers for right now. Yeah, Amazon's got to. Well, I don't think they held taxes, so they got to send out 1099s.
Yeah, Amazon's a religion now, so they don't do taxes anymore.
Oh, just because they don't owe taxes on what they pay you doesn't mean you don't owe taxes on what they gave you.
Whatever.
The fun fact of how much $1 is taxed as it goes around. So, but anyway, we might get into more spoilers later on in this episode. If we do, we'll spoiler warning at that thing. Clearly, English
just spoil it
is
for
my
you and then
best language, which is actually
like we
terrifying
didn't.
that it is. So, anyway. And it was at this moment that Jordan was like, Amber,
Jordan knew.
Who did you send me to talk to? Oh man. So if people haven't noticed it from the title, I know you guys can't really see the full title here because I edited that on YouTube and StreamYard didn't pick up that edit. So the episode is titled An Epic Addition to the Audiobooks. So if anybody hasn't put 2 and 2 together with Jordan being here and what the title is, may have something to do with audiobooks. And when someone says that they are an audio engineer, probably gives pretty good
Unrelated,
hints
actually.
to it.
It's just a coincidence.
Yeah, just a coincidence. It's
Hey, but
actually
that's the
putting
kind of
together
fuckery we would
visuals
play
to
with.
go with the audiobooks. So you've already done this for some other theories that people might enjoy. Do you want to talk a little about that? Kind of set the stage for
And,
what
and if you
task you've
could,
bitten off of.
and if you could, just throw in your because you've got a kind of a unique perspective here. Throw in your sort of take on the crossover between the two stories, between the two universes.
Interesting.
If you see any.
Yeah. No, they're the same. So I'll give a little backstory on my projects as a concept, and then we'll go down the line a little bit. So I do something called soundscapes, and what that is an accompaniment to the book, the audiobook that I choose. So I started with The Lord of the Rings. So what that means is I designed sound effects and an original score, and I went out and recorded nature ambiences outside, and I put all that together so that when you listen to the audiobook, you can have this play in the background at the same time, and everything lines up with every moment in the story. So, I'll choose my examples from Lord of the Rings for now. Gandalf fighting the Balrog, big action scenes like that. All of the big battles, you'll hear arrows flying by, swords hitting, horses riding by, all that kind of stuff. And it really brings the audiobooks to life in a way that we can't really get in any other scenario, right? Because the Lord of the Rings movies are amazing, and the books are amazing, but the movies can never be the full version, right? And the show can never be the full version, no matter how hard people want it to be. It's just never going to happen. So this is kind of my chance to be like, okay, what if you had an extended version of the books, or sorry, of the movies, and you had every moment in there, but it has sound effects and it has music and it has everything. So that's what I'm doing. As an example, The Lord of the Rings is about 63 hours worth of audiobook. And so you compare that to Wheel of Time. I don't know that math off the top of my head, but each one is around 30 hours. So there's quite a few in there. And so I'm going to be, with The Lord of the Rings, I wrote themes for all the characters and the ones that you don't get to see in the movies. And recorded all these sound effects for all the monsters and things like that. And it's a pretty cool experience because you can listen to it with the audiobooks, like we said, but you can also just listen to it on its own and kind of go through the story, hearing all of these audio cues, of events that you're familiar with in the books along the journey. So it's pretty cool, and it's been fun doing The Lord of the Rings, and now I'm working on The Hobbit, and then transitioning into these other fandoms and other stories that I have come to love as well. So right now I am working on The Hobbit, I'm working on Eye of the World, and I'm working on the first Harry Potter book, and I'm working The Hobbit and
We
Eye of the
we
World are
lost
the
you
kind of...
after you said the first Harry Potter book. You stalled just a second.
Okay, sorry. So first Harry Potter book and a Game of Thrones as well. So lots on the go, but Eye of the World and The Hobbit are kind of my main focus. The Hobbit is my main focus because I did a Kickstarter for that. I did a Kickstarter for the original Lord of the Rings project, and then a follow-up, and now I've got a little bit of breathing room to do other first books as well. So, and I got to get started on Wheel of Time, otherwise I will never finish it. So,
if
you got to move on.
If you assume 30 hours of soundscape audio per Wheel of Time book, and you do New Spring, that would be 450 hours of soundscape.
Yep.
Let's see.
I'm sure somebody knows how many hours there actually are for the audiobooks.
Yeah, there
I could
might be
probably actually
some
find it.
method to figure that out, but
If I go, so just as a for instance, the Dragon Reborn. Oh, come on.
Oh, the
Okay, just
audiobooks
as a for
total
instance.
19 days, 5 hours, and
There you
25
go.
minutes of material.
so a little bit.
So
So
yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. So that's the goal, is eventually to get that whole thing created in this soundscape format so that people can listen with the audiobooks and so that they can listen without the audiobooks. And just, if you're ever feeling like, hey, I want to hang out in Emmons Field for a little bit, then you can put your headphones on and give it a listen. And it's all mixed in Dolby Atmos, so it's 3D audio. So you'll hear things moving around you. You'll hear the environment around you. And
So cool.
yeah, you can put on your headphones, like I said, and escape to wherever you feel like, which is pretty awesome.
Now you've got some of this stuff currently on your YouTube, correct?
Yes. So on my YouTube, you'll see there's ambience and music, kind of 2 hour long versions. Now it's important to know that whenever you see those ambience versions, that's not a specific example like from a chapter. There are chapter examples on my YouTube, so you can check those out. But a lot of people will make loops of ambience and music and things like that. That's not what the soundscape is, though. The soundscape is every moment. So when, if we're walking from one place to another in a chapter and it goes from day to night, it's going to switch from day to night ambience. And you'll hear the crickets come out when they get there. You'll hear like the wagons pass by. All that kind of stuff is all laid out very individually. I have, sessions for every chapter that say, okay, the wagon starts from here and it goes to here. There's Trolloc noises from here to here, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here they are in, even down to, I'm trying to be as specific as I can because that's, what would you hear? What would the characters hear? And I'm trying to make it as accurate as we can. So for a chapter in the first book when they're in the Queen's Blessing, they're in different rooms throughout that whole chapter. So those different rooms will have different ambiences. You'll be able to hear the common room differently from each of them, and you'll be able to hear the outside town differently. I was asking one of my, I was asking one of the people that are helping me research today, if you were in the royal palace with Elaine, would you hear Camelin? Like, how loud would Camelin be? Because it's a huge deal when Rand is getting there, how loud it is. And obviously it's way louder for him because he's never been here before. And so can you hear that inside, or how loud is it? All that kind of stuff I'm thinking about. So trying to be as detailed as I can. That's for sure.
yeah, and I think everybody's like super excited because there is in every book, there's the same or similar style
Elaine.
opening. Yeah,
Running water and bubbles.
So yeah, and so like for readers and everything, and I'm sure you've run into this after reading the books, that when you read that chapter, or if you're listening to the audiobooks, and whenever you hear Kate or Michael say that, or Rosamund in the newer books, or the newer version of the audiobooks, you're like, all right, here we go again. Like you're starting on another adventure.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
this is definitely going to be a lot of the same. Like I can't wait. I can't wait to hear it.
As we kind of chatted about, beforehand, the more you think about the moments throughout the series, or any series, but especially this one, the more you think, oh, I can't wait to hear that, can't wait to hear this, can't wait to hear that, etc. And I think it's equally exciting. You'll have scenes that are huge music moments, and then you'll have scenes that are just sound effects moments, and you'll have just ambient moments. I was thinking about when they're sailing down the river, and you'll just hear the creaking of the ship around you and things like that. So I think
so
it'll be. In some ways, I hope that it'll be, and it has been this for Lord of the Rings, a chance to hear the story for the first time again. And there's so many things. I did one small scene the other day that had probably, and we'll hear this a little later, it had probably at least 20 different tracks worth of elements to it. And
wow.
the sample that we're going to listen to is like 2 minutes long. So there's a lot of work to do, but I think it'll
So
be a good payoff.
so I love I love what you're saying about this too, because like I back in my study days, and I'm trying to get back into my study days now. I used to listen to a lot of like lo-fi and ambient type, stuff just to keep my brain occupied so that I could, because it helps me focus, right? As I'm sure many of you guys listening or watching have the same kind of experience, right? But I noticed that you're 100% correct. Like after a couple of minutes, it's just a loop. And it's like, okay, the guy has walked by after the clicking bell every 3 minutes for the last hour. And it's just
Yeah.
it feels cheap. You know what I'm saying?
It's like a circle, but not like a circle, more like a spooky circle.
More like
Yeah,
a
your
spooky
brain
circle.
picks up on it for sure, and it's also just not interesting to do it that way. Like this project is all about being as specific as I can and as detailed as I can. And I didn't mention this before to you guys, but the beauty of it as well is that there's plenty of people out there that know the series way better than I do, and I'm going to do as much research as I can and ask questions and things like that. But the project can evolve, right? So if one of you guys listens to a chapter and says, "Hey, we should have some of this sound in this chapter," then I can add it and re-export it, and everyone will get the updated version. So we can just continue
So cool.
evolve it as well, which is really nice. And the technology might get better as we go and things like that. I actually have a set of head tracking AirPods, and those are really awesome to experience it in, because think about this: if you're in Emmons Field, ambience and stuff, you can actually like look over here and your audio will be directed more at the wagon over there, or you
That's
look over here and
insane.
you'll hear
That's
the anvil and stuff.
insane.
So
So mine do the same thing. And the first time they did it to me, my first thought was, okay, I've got an earbud dying, or it's
yeah
clogged up, or
yeah
it's a bad thing. And I spent so long wondering what was going on, and then I finally saw and figured it out.
yeah
And I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of neat. Because at the time I was just watching like a YouTube video. So
yeah
all it would do was I would hear more audio from whichever side of my face was oriented towards my phone.
yeah
That's
Which still I thought
crazy.
was like super cool. I just can't wait to so we talked about this when we met the other day, that I'm not usually a big audiobooks person.
hmm
Simply because I read fairly fast, or I feel fairly fast, and I try to follow along with the audiobooks, because I have really long trips or anything that often. I don't go on walks. I probably should go on walks, but I don't go on walks. So I don't have a lot of time to listen to them straight through, so I just never do. But the soundscape edition would absolutely change that. Like I wouldn't care if I only get 5 minutes in the car to work and 5 minutes from work.
yeah
It's
yeah
gonna
yeah.
be something that I play every chance I get.
This is going to be the type of thing that you can sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to experience it as if it were an episode of a show or a movie or something like that, um, but the
Could you
full
imagine
version.
walking down the road and you hear like a wagon coming up on you from behind really fast,
Yeah.
and you just like freak out and jump out the way? Everybody on the road's just staring at you like, all right, there's the crazy guy
you're like
walking down
you're
the road
like
again.
you're like this is going to take a
I
really long time to explain, but it's super cool, trust me.
So there's a
one
series
of
called The Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
and in chapter 4, there's a wagon. Okay, you're not gonna believe this wagon. One of the things I keep thinking about, one of the things my brain keeps coming back to, just to sort of put into perspective the enormity of what it is that you're trying to do here.
Mhm.
As you've said, it's not a traditional ambient sort of track. It's not a loop track, right? You've got unique themes written for every for every character, which is very operatic of you, sir. You've got unique ambience feels for different settings, locations, et cetera, et cetera. And the idea that you're traveling, the idea that you're going with here is that if I listen to The Eye of the World
Mhm.
with your soundscape accompaniment, right? I guess that's the correct way to say it.
Yep, I would say accompaniment is the way to describe it. Yeah.
So if I were to listen to The Eye of the World with your soundscape accompaniment, I would never hear the same sequence or the same sort of, but there would be no repetition.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless,
there's some things that are unavoidable in that way in terms of like I don't know if I have infinite door knock sounds. You know what I mean?
yes, no, and that's where I was.
Yeah.
Also, our chat pulling up with the ear max. No, but like, and what I was just about to say is that there's not going to be any sort of repetition except for the unique experience of they were just in the wine spring, and the wine spring sounds like the wine spring.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
And that's the
but
goal
that's
is
the
I
cool
want it
thing.
to be like, you know, I feel like hanging out in the wine spring. So you put that on and it's got a different feel compared to the other 100 inns that they go to in the first book. Every
So
other
with
chapter.
that, you've watched. Have you watched all of season 1?
And 2. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So I know I would be beyond shocked if you didn't pick it up because people with an
Uh-oh.
ear for audio are y'all amaze me. So every time Patton Fane would show up or he was somewhere in the vicinity,
Mhm.
you would hear the whistle.
Mhm.
Are you planning on trying to do things like that where like there's a meeting and you don't know the name of the character yet, but
But
we as readers
yeah.
know. So maybe
That's the
their
beauty
theme
of the
is in there.
music is that, and I, you know, when I was doing Lord of the Rings, it was a big thing because I know it so well that, you know, you can hint at things like that. But I mean, I've already been thinking lots about that kind of thing where, you know, we have these, uh, in the audiobooks, it's like 2-3 hour long prologues sometimes. And, as a first time reader, a lot of the time it's like, who are these people? I don't know any of these people, and where is Rand and Perrin and company? And you're there for like ever trying to figure out who these people are. But, you know, later on you start to figure out who these people are, but the music could hint at that beforehand. And there's so much fun that you could have with playing with who people are, who they are going to become, kind of what, you know, not to get too spoilery, where they end up in terms of organizations or things like that, right? There's a lot of that that can be hinted at with the music, and every conversation that you could have about every element of this turns into a rabbit hole of decision making and discussion and stuff like that. And so that's really where most of the work comes from, right? Is like I said before, you know, how loud is it in the royal palace? Whose themes do we hear there, and how much do we give away about where they're headed? All those kind of things, and you know, what does Loyal singing sound like? All these kind of things to think about, and you know, I love the music for the show. I think it's incredibly well done. But I have to have this interesting challenge of trying to evoke that a little bit because it's the palette that people know now. Same with Lord of the Rings. I wasn't going to do like, you know, like a Hans Zimmer style score for Lord of the Rings when people are so attached to the music for the movies.
Sure.
So I have to evoke it while doing something new, and not taking any of the themes because that's silly, and illegal. But
and illegal.
yeah, as a follow up. But yeah, it's a really interesting challenge. How does Emmons Field sound musically versus ambience? Because those are two different things. What does the power sound like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So many things to think about, and that's why it's exciting now having, because I was working on the soundscape for Lord of the Rings while I watched the first season and while I started reading the books, and throughout the whole thing I was like, God, this would be so awesome to do. And now that I'm finished the series, I can be like, okay, now I couldn't imagine doing it without having the whole thing done already, because I have to plan ahead, and it's going to be amazing, I think, to have, I forget how many hours you said the whole thing is, but
or 62.
Many.
So many, 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 many hours later for something to pay off, that we hinted at with certain characters early. And I do want it to arc like that, I want it to be,
So
yeah.
So let me ask you this, because what you've just said touches on a theme that we have talked about on this show quite frequently. But I wonder if, because you've read it through completely one time.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's not a judgment of any degree. That's simply just me asking.
Yep.
Josh over here being like, "Oh, you've only read it one time. You've only read 4 million words and over 2,600 named characters."
Oh God,
once.
you've read it once.
No.
That's cute.
You baby.
Come to me when I. But okay. Just real quick, as a tangent. Fuck you if you are like this. I don't give a shit.
I thought you were saying me, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's fair."
Well, I mean, fuck you too. But just in general. If you are someone who started reading the books before they were all out, and then you were like, oh my God, I had to read the books and I had to wait a couple of years and I had to read the next book and then I had to wait a couple of years. That's an experience that you had. It's great. It's wonderful. It's awesome. Guess what? There are people in the world today who picked up The Eye of the World just like you did and started reading just like you did. The only difference is they had the entire series ahead of them and they didn't have to wait. Guess what? Doesn't make them any less of a fan. If you're someone who thinks like this, please correct yourself.
You're actually only allowed to start enjoying it after the 4th time through. That's when you're allowed to start.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
After you've devoted entirely too much time to this series.
Then you can say.
But the theme I'm going for is that Robert Jordan is, and I'm sure you picked up on some of them, and maybe you're just ridiculously smart and picked up on way more than we did.
Probably not.
But there are people in the Wheel of Time, very, 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 like not even secondary characters, like 3rd and 4th degree characters that come back again and again and again. And the continuity, there are callbacks that span 5 and 6 books. And to hear you talk about doing music, and I can't do it justice without finishing the series and then planning and plotting and going through. It makes me happy to hear you say that. What is a theme? I mean, try not to give too much away, but what's a theme or position or plot point in the books that gave you that impression that you needed to be able to say, aha, I need to be able to plan ahead for this? Because if I had read the first 2 books and I'd started writing, by the time I got to book, 9, I would have had to rewrite everything because damn, that happened and that was huge. Is there any situations in the books that gave you that specific sort of frame of mind?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I'll try to piece my thoughts together here. The first one that I mean, there's one that I could say that would be a massive spoiler, so I won't do that. But there's one actually that was almost perpetuated by the show that I can mention, which is where one of our channelers might end up, like which trajectory they go towards, right? It was very much pushed in a certain direction in the show, and it's not where it's headed in the books. Again, I'm trying not to be too spoilery, but
Yeah.
that's a good example, I think, with that character where if you go into it early, you might not assume that that's the payoff later. And I'm trying to think of other things like, I mean, I think certain abilities could be thought of that way, like the scale of certain abilities. If you go in too early, you might not understand the significance of what that ability will be later on. So that's probably a good one.
Oh, jeez. How do you soundscape Balefire?
You could ask that
Names are
question
fine,
about
by the way.
how many weaves are there,
Oh,
because they all got a sound, and how do they interconnect with each other, or do they, or what's the deal there? So a lot of stuff like that to think about. Yeah, Wolf Brother. Yeah, how does it pay off later? What does the environment even sound like? Because we potentially might not get some of those things in the show, right? Like we don't know yet what certain things are they gonna look like something, or are they gonna be an actual space that we go to, or there's a certain conversation that goes on in certain people's heads with certain other people that we're not sure how that's going to unfold in the show yet, right? So that's a good one.
Thanks, Two Geeks, keeping it classy. How to soundscape a green Aes Sedai bedroom.
But you know what I mean, right? Like, how do these? I guess also saying how characters connect. Because certain characters connect in very clear ways and in very different ways than you might expect after reading book one, especially. And there's certain characters that kind of end up paired together that you wouldn't have expected. And some of them, it's like a super long game. Some of it's like from the beginning, but there's some where it's like, wow, we really ended up here. That's crazy. So yeah, lots of thought to go into it, and the music is going to be the thing that takes the most thought beforehand, obviously.
Sure.
And then I have to actually write the stuff and make sure it's good. But I'm going to probably lay out, like the whole series on a spreadsheet and see if I can list which characters exist with significant enough roles. I'm not going to Emmons Fielder number 4, kind of thing. But I'm going to lay them all out, and I'm going to see who exists, first of all, in every book, and then probably write a note underneath each one, like how, if they've developed or if they change or if they're the same or what's the deal. For Lord of the Rings, as an example, I had a melody that I wrote for Bill the Pony, and that pays off later.
Yeah, take us into that though. Like what's your, when you talk about writing a melody or writing a song, like,
yeah,
I'm sure you take in the different instruments that there are, what fits this character's personality.
You'd almost think that we talked about this specifically before you asked that question, but we haven't. You're just a genius. So when I do when I do these kind of things, I build orchestras for each of the. For Lord of the Rings, it was the peoples. So you had like a Hobbit orchestra, a Dwarven orchestra, Elven orchestra, and they all had. There's no brass in the Hobbit orchestra, right? There's no you know, screeching kind of spider violins in the Hobbit Orchestra that would come in, Sheila spiders. You know? So when it comes to William, it'll be like, okay, what does the orchestra for Emmons Field sound like? Right? What
Right.
does the orchestra for, and I have to decide how to delegate this, you know, because the Black Tower will have its own orchestra, right? That, you know, when we're there or when we're connected to that in some way, then those instruments will come in as kind of like musical shorthand for who we're with. You know, how many Forsaken are there that need a little flavor to themselves? You know, lots of stuff to think about. All the Ajas can have their own flavor a little bit. There's a lot. A lot of them will have similarities. You know, it's not going to be like starting from scratch every single time, but it would be really. And this is how I'm thinking about the whole project: is wouldn't it be fun if is my kind of thought process. So, you know, wouldn't it be fun if the Blue Aja was this instrument section with this significant instrument leading the way? And then wouldn't the yellow be interesting if it was the same, but with this instrument leading the thing? All those kind of things. It's just fun to think about, which means it's something that you as the reader would be like, oh, you know, my ear caught up on that little hint that you had there. And then it gets really interesting when the Ajas are working together and you can have, you know, their different elements come through and weave together, you might say.
Yes.
So
Yes.
many possibilities.
You
Wolf
might
Brother
say.
sums it up. So many orchestras to create.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh,
But it's going to be fun. It's gonna be fun.
I am beyond excited, but also like I don't envy the gargantuan task that it is ahead of you.
And we could
It's
talk
going to
about...
absolutely pay off. But
I think so, and I hope so. And you know, the kind of plan. I don't know if we want to get into the plan a little bit that I have.
again, sorry, I had a chuckle at Josh measuring how much he poured in his cup by smell alone. Take that, Huron. You thought you were a sniffer.
That's right. Okay. Oh wait, were you going somewhere with that, Andrew?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I think Jordan was gonna maybe get into the kind of planning.
The schedule.
Schedule.
Yeah, just really quickly so that people are semi-aware of what my plan is. So Eye of the World is what I'm working on right now. And I hope to have that out at the latest by July, but hopefully before that. I'm making faster progress than I expected, but it really depends how long the research takes, I think. And just as an example, I was going to mention this earlier, but as an example, I have my spreadsheet up here. There are about 40 different ambiences for the first Harry Potter book, which is about a quarter of the length of Eye of the World, I think. So, oh, look who it is.
Look at who it is.
So
This
yeah,
episode is all your fault, by the way.
yeah. You got me stuck with these guys.
That's right. We're
So,
best
yeah.
friends now.
Well, July July is the due date that I'm gonna aim for, and my hope is that I can launch a Kickstarter in July to do books probably 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll see. But I can also put stretch goals down to get further and further and further down the road. But also, like you had mentioned earlier, Josh, if they go back to, you know, a certain inn, it's not like in a different book that ambience needs to be redone again, necessarily. Sometimes, yeah, but for the most part, there will be some that'll be able to be transferable from book to book to book. So that'll help save a bit of time, a little bit of time. But
Yeah.
then I'll be able to focus more and more on music and get more and more intricate, which is cool because, you know, you want the the music, I think, to become more and more intricate as a kind of mirror of our main character's understanding of the world. If you want to get super meta, by the end, they understand what's at stake and what's going on, and in the beginnings, they don't. So it'd be cool to emulate that in the kind of complexity of the music, you could say. So yeah, July is what I'm aiming for. It might be done before that. You can pre-order Eye of the World right now, which would help me out, but also give you the chance to get your voice on the soundscape if you want. If you want to be a Trolloc, if you want to be someone in one of the inns laughing and hanging out.
Yep.
And yeah, so the pre-orders are really awesome for that. And I was talking about my research people earlier. That's gives you that chance as well to jump on board and help me with questions like these that I'm having. And I might send a few samples over and be like, what do we think of this theme for this random character? Things like that.
So where is that people can go to pre-order or to be a supporter or...
So, and I should have mentioned this earlier, Lord of the Rings is finished fully, and you can buy that if you want. And we have a discount code somewhere in the description somewhere.
Yep, it's down there below.
Is it the link below? So guys, look in the description below, and you'll see, first off, you'll see his code. YouTube, which you need to go and subscribe and go listen to the videos and comment that the Black Tower sent you, because
exactly.
He needs to know where we came from. And if you want to get the audiobook versions that Jordan has produced, you need to use the code, what was it, Tower25 with the exclamation, right? I think that's what we got in there.
Whatever you have there will be what it is, for sure.
You don't need the exclamation point.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah, I'll edit that.
Yeah, we got an exclamation in there.
And I do want to reiterate really quickly, just so that we're clear, the audiobook is not included in the soundscape because I can't do that. But you can, how it works is if you have the audiobooks already and you buy the soundscape, then I can send you the MP3s individually so that you can just sync them up and make new files and you're ready to go.
So cool.
It's as painless a process as I could make it without it being me selling the audiobooks, because I can't do that, obviously.
And now that we've told them what they can, purchase,
until we convince the powers that be to,
make it official.
Hit up Jordan and
look. Jeff Bezos watches the show. Jeff.
Yeah.
B-Dog. Okay? Look.
You're willing to let the check not be sent. If
I want you to cancel my 6th yacht. I don't want it. I want you to fund Jordan. No, but where was I going? I got distracted. Now that you've told them, what they're supporting, or now that you told them where to support you at, which, by the way, the Black Tower will be supporting these projects, especially the Wheel of Time project. I understand that you have a sample.
I do.
That you wouldn't mind sharing with the whole class, just so that people know what they are getting themselves into.
Yeah, definitely. So
and, after this sample, just really quick, because I just put it in there, if you're looking for the link to go directly to where you can pre-order the soundscape for Eye of the World, it is now linked in the description. So if you're listening now,
perfect.
Don't refresh or anything right now. Do it once we're done, and you'll see it there, because all of our lovely patrons can listen to this live, so they'll get first access to go over and support what Jordan is doing. So when you see it, it says pre-order the Eye Collection, a soundscape of time, and it's got everything in there. So go and do that. Show all the support, and you'll know why. If you weren't already convinced, you'll know why absolutely here in like 2 seconds. So
and just to once again reiterate, it is not the audiobook. Jordan does not have rights to the audiobook. What he's done is created a soundscape that you can play in conjunction with the audiobook. So it's like taking the audiobook
add-on DLC.
Yeah.
and spreading MSG all over.
So, but Jordan was kind enough to bring a sample, a little teaser, if you will. So if you're using headphones, go ahead and take this time to
Put them in
both
now.
Yeah,
just
because
so you can get the full experience.
and I will say, because people have commented this before, even if you have really good speakers, you think your speakers are awesome, it still won't translate. It's not like it's going to sound terrible, but the 3D simulation happens when you have headphones on. So that's why we make a big deal out of that. And yeah, so you guys haven't heard this yet either, right?
Correct.
I don't think
And,
we've heard this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're just listening to the audio version of the podcast, when this goes to play, there will be about 12 seconds or so of silence. So give it about 12 seconds, and then you'll hear the audio start playing.
Little on-screen intro. And spoilers for the first book of Wheel of Time.
I'm so excited. Shush, Morshadi.
From the clear sky, lightning came. Each bolt crisp and sharp, searing his eyes, each bolt striking a winged black shape. Hunting cries became shrieks of death, and charred forms fell to leave the sky clean again. The heat, the terrible heat of the light. He fell to his knees. He thought he could hear his tears sizzling on his cheeks. No! He clutched at tufts of wiry grass for some hold on reality. The grass burst in flame. Please, no! The wind rose with his voice, howled with his voice, roared with his voice down the pass, whipping the flames to a wall of fire that sped away from him and toward the Trolloc host faster than a horse could run. Fire burned into the Trollocs, and the mountains trembled with their screams. Screams almost as loud as the wind and his voice. It has to end! He beat at the ground with his fist, and the earth tolled like a gong. He bruised his hands on stony soil, and the earth trembled. Ripples ran through the ground ahead of him in ever-rising waves. Waves of dirt and rock towering over Trollocs and Fades, breaking over them as the mountains shattered under their hooved feet. A boiling mass of flesh and rubble churned across the Trolloc army. What was left standing was still a mighty host, but now no more than twice the human army in numbers, and milling in fright and confusion. The wind died. The screams died. The earth was still. Dust and smoke swirled back down the pass to surround him. The light blinds you, Balsamon. This has to end.
Yes.
Fuck! God damn!
Sir,
If that's
got
not
the goosebumps.
stop right now what you're doing, and at the very least, go subscribe to this man's YouTube. Fuck! God, I love that. Oh,
What was your
look,
favorite part?
when he says, you know, he slams his fist into the ground, and the
Yes.
earth sounded like a gong, and there was like, you could hear the earth kind of being like, what the fuck, and like the earth and the, oh god,
That's my favorite.
oh,
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say, like that. But I also really love the first. I think it was like the first or second crack of thunder. Whenever Michael actually says, you know, the lightning fell from the sky, and I'm just like, yeah,
yes,
So I mean, and it only grows in scale from that moment,
so
right?
good.
So
well, and when
Yeah.
he talks about the host that remains is now still a grand host, but it's only, you know, twice the size of the human host, and now they're confused. But as the lightning and thunder like roll back and subside with Rand's presence. For those of you who didn't recognize, this is Rand at Tarwin's Gap. He has tapped the pure Sidene at the Eye of the World, and then he is hammering the Shadow Spawn at Tarwin's Gap, essentially saving Agelmar and the Shinaran host. for those of you who have not read the books and who have only watched the TV show, Two Geeks, One Mic, that's not what happened in the TV show at all. But I think that God, I'm gonna stick an army on you because here's the thing. As we told you,
Not a
when
slightly intimidating thing to tell anybody.
Well, as we spoke previously, Kate Redding and Michael Kramer are going to be at WotCon, and I would give many valuable things
Which is in July.
to get you in the same room with them and play this and get their reaction.
No, you see, what you actually do is you get them to read live with it.
Look, that can be arranged because they do live readings at WotCon.
There you go.
In the words of Morty from Rick and Morty, son of a bitch. Man.
Or in the words of Han Solo, I can arrange that.
It's cool that you mentioned that because for the past Tolkien Reading Day, which is on March 25th, and there's one coming up this year, I have guests on to do exactly that. They read with the soundscape. And so what's really cool about the soundscape is that a couple things to note about a reading pace, because Andrew, you were talking about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Because these voice actors are performing the books, it would be pretty difficult to read slower than they do, if that makes sense. Almost everybody's going to read faster than they do to some degree because it's just hard not to. And I'm a slow reader, and even I am faster than someone really performing it like they do. And so if you're just reading the book, you just sit down and read while you're listening, you'll only ever read a little bit ahead. So if, for example, we get to this part in this book where you're reading and you read the part where it says lightning came. If you haven't heard the lightning, all you'd have to do is wait 5-10 seconds or so or whatever, hear the lightning strike, and then keep reading. Right? So there's a lot of cues like that you could do. So what's really interesting, though, is most of the time when people read out loud, it fits pretty well with your kind of general out loud reading voice. So that's why these events are a lot of fun because, most people can just pick it up and go for it. And it's not like it needs to be exact the whole time, But yeah, they get a little sample ahead of time and practice and then go for it. So, I mean, that would be amazing to get them to do something for it.
God. Well, first things first, we need you to commit to going to JordanCon. Second things second, all of our lovely Wheel of Time fans out there need to go and support Jordan in whatever ways they are able, because damn, that was wow. That was
Are you
impressive.
not entertained?
Were you not entertained? And you've got MP3 soundscapes for Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. Like, that is a completed project, correct?
Yeah.
So for all of our yeah, there you go, JordanCon, WotCon, and the Gathering Madness.
Yeah, just do everything.
You need to attend to them all, sir. For all of our fans who are also Tolkien fans,
That one's ready to go.
Jordan's already done it for you. He's already there. He's already into it. And for all of our Potterheads, you said you were working on the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone as well?
Yep, that one is already all outlined. So I don't have anything to show for that yet. Actually, the Great Hall ambience is up if anyone feels to see what that's like.
I'm gonna go check that out.
That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm hoping to do. If I aim for July, my hope is to have Harry Potter 1 and Eye of the World done for then. Harry Potter is pretty short in comparison, so And it's going to be interesting because it's a lot more modern sounds in that, So
Yeah.
we'll see. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah,
Yeah, that's also like
That's
a
the
kind
deal.
of nice reprieve for you in some ways, where you can
yeah,
kind of like.
I always
You
try to tell
have the
people that.
Hufflepuff common room.
Yeah, that one was fun.
Did you know I'm a Hufflepuff?
That's because I'm a Hufflepuff.
If you're a Hufflepuff, leave a comment in the section below and be like,
And if you're
tell
not,
us why
no
Hufflepuffs
comments.
are the best. If you're not, fucking scoot. Okay? Just scoot.
All right. Well, it was nice, guys. I gotta go now.
There's the fucking Slytherin over there.
But a lot of people have asked or brought that kind of thing up where it's like, it's a lot of work, obviously. But what really is exciting for me is to be able to be like, oh, let's spend an hour working on Wheel of Time, and then I'll leave for a bit and go to Harry Potter for a little bit, and kind of go back and forth between all these worlds, and it makes it a lot easier to do some long hours and stuff like that, because I get to just oh, let's make an ambience for the Great Hall, and then when I'm done that, oh, what does Balefire sound like? All this kind of stuff, and just jump around. So it's a lot of fun. But the Kickstarters are huge for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, but if anyone is able to, the pre-orders for Eye of the World are awesome, because it, the more kind of cushion I have, the more time I can spend dedicating to the detail and the kind of depth that it needs and that it deserves for things like that. So, yeah.
So let me ask you this real quick. I got two more questions for you,
Okay.
and then we'll let the people do what they do, unless Andrew has any more questions for you as well. In which case, we'll let Andrew ask his questions too, and then let the people do what you do. First and foremost, what has been the biggest challenge? Like what sound or what sequence? Or I see you've got. I'm scrolling through your YouTube channel, which by the way, reminder: if you're listening to this video after the fact, if you're not listening to it live, if you're not a Patreon, that's fine. Pause me right now.
They pause you and never hear the rest of the statement.
Now that you've come back to the video and
From
have
pausing
already wait, I suppose I could have given them instructions. Do not pause me right now. Go to
More
Jordan's
Shoddy would just pause the video
YouTube.
and like walk away. He'd be like, okay.
subscribe, then come back here because it's super awesome. I see you've got ambience from Winterfell. You've got Star Wars High Republic. You've got the Shire. Do you want to visit the Shire? Do you want to visit the Shire? Who doesn't want to visit the Shire? There's a Griffin. There's the Hogwarts Great Hall. There's the Hufflepuff Common Room. Emmons Field is a music and ambience. What about this? What about creating a soundscape is probably the most challenging? Is there a sound or a feeling or a setting that's like which of these is the most challenging, and why would that be the most challenging aspect of this?
I think that when it comes to sound effects, I'll go through each of my elements here really quickly. I have 5 kind of stages I go through. The first stage is research that we talked about beforehand. Then I have ambiences. I'll put those in after designing them. Ambiences meaning anything that's not, anything that's generated by the environment that you're in. So, if there's people idling around Emmons Field, I count that as part of the ambience, right? So, and then I have sound effects. Those are the specific things that I have to specifically put in for each moment, right? And then I have the music. So I have to write themes or, chord progressions, etc. for all these moments. And then I have to mix it all together. So for me, really, the sound effects are pretty straightforward for the most part, especially the ones that are Foley, meaning things that are tangible things that we can, like a doorknob spinning or a knock on the door, things like that are, it is what it sounds like. Like it's not going to be anything that needs to be specifically designed, right? Whereas, Balefire or something like that has to be. I have to think about it. I have to design it. I have to make it so that it's convincing. Ambiences again are pretty straightforward. Once you have done the research, it's just what would it sound like there, right? Now, if we get into dream worlds and stuff like that, then that's a bit different. Scoring is time consuming, but I wouldn't necessarily say difficult. And that's, because the project is so big, I have the kind of benefit of not really having writer's block in that way when it comes to composing, because I'm kind of aware of myself enough that I can be like, okay, this scene's not working for music right now. I'm just going to go create ambience for something else instead. I'll just switch off of it and do something else for a bit and come back. But a lot of the time, like this example that I showed you guys, I'm just super excited to do it anyways, and then stuff kind of starts falling into place pretty quickly. So to get back to the original question, which was what would you say is the most difficult, deciding how I'm going to tackle everything is probably the most difficult element. So when we, like, comparing Lord of the Rings to Wheel of Time, the Wheel of Time is a lot more point of view than Lord of the Rings is, and Game of Thrones is like way more point of view than that. And so just thinking about how is that going to be reflected in all of the elements of the soundscape. Does Perrin hear more of the ambience than the other characters? Probably. Are we going to have character themes, or are we going to have like an Emmons Field theme instead? Where if I'm talking about Harry Potter, there's probably not going to be character themes for everything. There's going to be like a Joy of Magic theme. There's going to be like a Hogwarts theme, things like that instead of every character. So deciding what fits the world best in terms of approach is probably the most time consuming and the most tricky, because I want people like you to listen to it and be like, this feels right. And if you listen to a movie that Hans Zimmer scored, a lot of the time it's not necessarily a theme score. It's like I call it more of a feel score. So it's about the emotion of the scene that they're trying to evoke, versus Lord of the Rings, where there's more than 100 themes for different characters and things. So there's different approaches to that. And with, something with like Wheel of Time, there might be certain chapters that need to be theme based, and certain chapters that need to be feel based. So thinking all of that through is the most time consuming and the trickiest, I think. So that's a super long-winded way of answering that first question.
It's
a good answer.
It is perfect.
I can't even fathom it. Like, I couldn't imagine even trying to do it. Like, if somebody looked at me and said, "You have to do soundscape for even a chapter out of the Wheel of Time," I'm pretty sure I would just like freeze, be like ultimate stage fright, just be like, do you accept the kazoo?
I also have to, get some flute playing out for when the guys are going in to in and they're juggling and playing flute and stuff.
When you need someone who's really bad at the flute, I will go down to my local music store and get the recorder and be like, and play really terrible music for you.
See,
and
even that,
like, Tom would be like, "Oh, what is that?"
Even that question, though.
I got you.
What kind of harp do they play? What kind of flute do they play? What makes the most sense? All those kind of things that you got to try and think about. Awesome question here from Road to Tar Valon.
I was just putting it on there.
We're on the same page because we're both Hufflepuffs.
That's right.
Yes, the pre-orders, if you want to lend your voice to the project, the pre-order is how you can do that. So any, and I have this awesome software that will take your voice and turn it into like a monster sound. So if you literally just, in our mics right now went and did some like pretend roars, I could turn that into like what would sound like a Trolloc. So
Rawr.
now it'd be super awesome if I actually just took that audio that you just did and then put that in. But yes.
Well, here's the thing.
You have
45 of my
permission to
dollars.
do whatever you want with any of this audio.
I was about to say, this whole episode is yours. We are your playground, sir.
I'll
Play
just have
with
it
us.
super quietly in one of the ends. If you listen really carefully, you can hear you guys.
Don't
It's a Trolloc that
don't
only
tease.
Perrin hears, like
Don't
in the far
tease.
distance. I can
The
hear
Lord
the
of the
enemies
Rings.
coming from a mile away. Rawr.
The Lord of the Rings, because, and this is something that people can look forward to. When I do the Kickstarter, you can sign up to be a voice role and to be a guest musician, actually, for those Kickstarters. But for Lord of the Rings, I had a lot of those little Easter egg moments. I had a couple voice role people that could speak a couple words in Old English. So we put that in for when they visit Rohan, and you'll hear in the distance, a couple Old English phrases and things like that. So lots of little Easter eggs and fun to put in. So being part of it is pretty fun. So do you remember your second question? Because there was one a long time ago.
Sorry, I've moved on to like 8 different things from now. Currently, I'm putting in my credit card information to prepay.
A question rose over
because-
the mountains of mist,
That's right.
only to be forgotten in the Westwood.
Also, did I mention I'm like extremely ADD over here?
I was gonna say, as you see if you can remember your other question, I can pull up that other sample that you guys originally heard if you want, because someone mentioned it in the chat way at the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is entirely up to
I'm
you.
never gonna say no to more of that because damn, sir.
That one is just a temporary, well, semi-temporary test, but it's still fun to listen to it, I think. So
Pull out the old other earbud. Damn.
So no idea what your other question was, though?
None.
It's gone.
So my brain says that we addressed both issues, so
Probably. I talked for long enough to make it count for
mean-
both.
which is fine. Which you done did, sir.
We'll see if this uploads quickly.
Let's,
It says 1 minute,
God.
so we're good.
we can talk for a minute.
What? Do a podcast and talk for a minute? I don't know how we can do that.
No, this is it. We can talk for a minute and then everybody just
I actually did have something to mention really quickly.
yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
As much as possible, and with the Lord of the Rings, I did this in my Discord, so people can join the Discord if they want, and look at updates for all the different projects and things like that, and hear what other people think. But I ask a lot of kind of questions in general to my Discord and to other people that I know this stuff well, because there's I have no sense of, I don't know, I guess ownership over the world or anything like that. Like, I want to hear what, if I do up a sample of what something sounds like for a weave or something like that, I want to hear what everyone thinks. I want to hear if we collectively kind of agree that sounds pretty cool. And if not, then I'll go for something different. So if you're interested in being part of that kind of talk, then you can join the Discord as well.
Yeah, send us your Discord link, and we'll
Definitely.
put it in the description below as well
Cool. I will do that.
if it's
and
not
make
already
sure.
there.
I've had
Not
trouble
yet.
choosing the expiring Discord link before, so I'll try and make sure I get the correct one.
That's a struggle. Like, we've had that too. I think our website is finally the non-expiring link,
Let's
but
see.
It might be okay. Who knows?
we haven't had anybody join the Discord in a while, so Maybe they click on it. It's like link expired. No one loves you. And they're
That's
like, fuck you too. Black Tower. Fuck you too.
They don't want me.
All right, I got this. I got this sample. Really good job, guys. We
All right.
bought the time pretty well. This
All
one
right,
doesn't have a
everybody
fancy
remember?
video.
Put both of your headphones in. Let's.
And again, this is just a. Maybe some elements are temporary, but I just wanted to play around because how can you not with this first scene?
The wheel of time turns, and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. In one age, called the Third Age by some, an age yet to come, an age long past, a wind rose in the mountains of mist.
And we're going to pause because it was the wrong version.
Don't! You know what I was excited about, though, is that Wolf Brother earlier in the chat had mentioned
That's
this
why I wanted.
exact
That's why I wanted to
passage.
bring it up, and then I
Oh.
go ahead and post the wrong one. How funny is that?
Tease.
Let me find it. I gotta
It's a
find it.
tease for the tease.
It's a tease.
Time to do our professional thing and riff for another few minutes.
That's right.
We're professionals.
Jordan's also a professional.
Yeah, this is definitely my first day.
I look, no matter what you're doing right now, please go over, follow Jordan on YouTube, go to his website. The road to Tarvalon is thoroughly teased.
Mark
All
that
right.
down as at least one success.
Great success.
See, it's all about
Wolf Brother,
labeling.
like, hang in there for just a second. We're gonna get you that sample that you want.
the way it should be.
The way it should be. Just like Robert Jordan.
The way it once
Jordan
was,
Reynolds.
the way
is
it
it
is,
Reynolds
the way
or
it will be.
Reynolds?
It's whatever you feel like. I don't.
It's whatever
really
I feel
mind.
like. So Jordan, whatever I feel like. Also does
It's
8
Smith.
different versions, like RJ did. So this is perfection. This is how it works.
All right, I got it. Good job again. Now it's
Huzzah.
gonna be.
All right.
If this isn't it, then we just call it. We just end the call.
We just go with it. We just go with
Immediately.
it.
He just disappeared. He's like, "Hey, where'd it go?"
Cancel the whole project.
He's like, I no longer consent to my voice being used on this show.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
The wheel of time turns, and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. In one age, called the Third Age by some, an age yet to come, an age long past, a wind rose in the mountains of mist. The wind was not the beginning. There are neither beginnings nor endings to the turning of the wheel of time. But it was a beginning. Born below the ever-cloud-capped peaks that gave the mountains their name, the wind blew east out across the sand hills, once the shore of a great ocean before the breaking of the world. Down it flailed into the two rivers, into the tangled forest called the Westwood, and beat at two men walking with a cart and horse down the rock-strewn track called the Quarry Road. For all that spring should have come a good month since, the wind carried an icy chill as if it would rather bear snow. Gusts plastered Randolph Thor's cloak to his back, whipped the earth-colored wool around his legs, then streamed it out behind him. He wished his coat were heavier, or that he had worn an extra shirt. Half the time when he tried to tug the cloak back around him, it caught on the quiver swinging at his hip.
There we go.
Oh,
It worked.
Yes. He loved it. He loved it.
Success. The project can continue.
Yeah. It's like the moment that you hear the wagon wheels. Like I know every reader just went like, damn, Rand, they're right there. They're right there.
Right, we're there. We're on the Quarry Road, and we're like, There's Randon. Damn.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
Jordan has done
Damn!
an hour and a half what Josh hasn't been able to do in days, if not weeks, if not months.
In years.
So. We also got
Oh,
Kari
God.
here. Hi.
Yep, we got Kari's one of our first-time readers. She has not finished the story. Kari, you'll be happy to know that after the live, you will have access to this early episode. This is a spoiler-free episode, so you can go back and watch the whole thing. And you're definitely, for all those of you who are listening, you're definitely going to want to go back and listen because we have a previous sample earlier in this episode that you also need to hear. That is just, it's at the end of the Eye of the World. So if you haven't read the end of the Eye of the World, careful. But it also, it's like mild spoilery. You don't know what's happening at the same time until I explain what's happening, and then it becomes a real spoiler.
Yeah. And by the way, this is how the last book ends.
Right. And by the way, spoiler, Thanos appears at the end. He's the real Dark One. Jordan, thank you so much. Thank you so not just for being here tonight, because I am supremely grateful for that. Thank you for sharing those samples with us. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to kind of share this out to the world, because not only am I a big fan of soundscapes, and not only do I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are also a big fan of soundscapes, but when you combine that with the passion that people have with the Wheel of Time, oh God, I feel like you've really you've hit something. You've hit something special here.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that, I know your previous work is with Tolkien, with the works of Tolkien, and that's not to like disenfranchise anything there, because those are very special too. And I look forward to listening to those. But just gratitude. Like I am so grateful for you here. Thank you. Special shout out to Road to Tar Valon for sending you our way.
Definitely.
I'm super excited for that. I'm super happy for that. And we are definitely going to be painting your name on a couple of other places. We want to get you out there. Seriously, we want to make you famous, because I want to hear. There are scenes in the books that I want to hear you do. Oh my God.
And that's the big thing. Like, doing Eye of the World is like something that I'm going to do. And if I get pre-orders, then that's awesome, but it's not like pivotal. But like, this is all I do, I guess you could say. Like, this is my full-time job. So, when time comes for Kickstarters and stuff like that, that's really how I can make these things happen, right? So I appreciate it.
Really can't wait for you to do my favorite scene, which is everything from page 1 of Eye of the World to the last page of Memory of Light.
Okay, yeah.
I thought
just
you were
do,
about
just
to
that
say,
one little favorite scene of mine,
I thought you were about to say
hours.
the igloo scene, and I was like, "Sir."
I mean, if I don't hear,
See, that's where the music comes in, and I'll let your imagination.
I can hear the bad mustache.
Hashtag Burt Reynolds energy. Okay, Jordan, one last time. I know it's in the description below, but tell the people where they can find you. Oh my God, yes, Kari, you beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person, you. Yes, that it's gonna be great.
Stuff to come.
Jordan, tell us one last time where they can find you. Everybody else listening, leave comments below. What scenes in the Wheel of Time are you most excited to hear with a soundscape behind it? And go to Jordan's YouTube, leave comments on there, pre-order The Eye of the World, like I just did, because I can't wait. Oh my God. I'm kicking off my reread of the series with your with your soundscape. I'm reading
How
Warbreaker
how
right
cool
now.
it would be to do like a Zoom get together where everyone just listens to it as a reread concept.
Can we do a book club? Can we do a
There
book
you go.
club, Jordan?
Soundscape
like, for
book
real?
club? Let's do it.
I'm dead serious. Can we do that?
I'd be down.
Oh! Okay, so stay tuned because we're gonna be having some fun with Jordan. We're gonna be using and abusing him. Jordan, one last time, tell everybody where you are, where they can find you, and why they need to support you.
So, yeah, my website, jordanrennells.com, is where all the soundscapes are, and you can get the pre-orders there. You can get the pre-orders for Eye of the World, the first Harry Potter, A Game of Thrones, and The Hobbit, and The Silmarillion, but Lord of the Rings is already done. And, yeah, YouTube is where I upload, like, I guess you could say, like, tastes of the ambience if you want to, hang out in Emmons Field, but when we finally get the soundscape, it'll be specific, like I said, not just a 2-hour kind of ambience for Emmons Field. It'll be specific to the chapter. So what you get on YouTube is not like a full representation, I guess you could say, of the experience. Though, like I said before, the Lord of the Ring, there's things called full sample chapters. Check those out because those are for Lord of the Rings, the full soundscape audio. Also, I didn't mention this before, and I don't think I've ever even mentioned it to you guys. So the other thing that you can do is when you get the soundscape, like when you buy Lord of the Rings as an example, you get access to a podcast feed where you can play all of the soundscape files however you want, wherever you are, right? So it's just a podcast feed that's private so that you can check it out. Throw on, I want to listen to this chapter. I want to listen to this chapter, wherever. But you also get access to a private Google Drive so you can download them for yourself. But the cool thing is there's different mixes on there. So you'll get the full version with everything. You'll get the ambience only version. So no music, no sound effects. You'll also get the ambience and sound effects version. So if you just don't feel like having the music on, you can do it that way. You can have the music only version without the ambience and the sound effects. And so there's all these different versions and, just endless ways to experience the story. So
Wow.
that's all ready for Lord of the Rings. And actually, not to go down further rabbit holes, but with Lord of the Rings, there's different, as there are for almost every story, there's different audiobooks in different languages. And so slowly, not right away, but slowly I'll be retiming things to fit, the French audiobook, the German audiobook and things like that. So if you're like, okay, I'm good in English, I listen to it, let's listen to it in a different language, you can try that too.
I've listened to it in English. Now I want to listen to it in British.
Yeah.
Don't kill me, Rob. Or
Eventually, if she finishes all of them, which I'm sure she will, I can eventually retime it to Rosamund's version of the audiobooks as well. So. And they're not that far off. I've checked before. It's only like a minute or two difference between the two of them, so it shouldn't be too tricky. But that'll be down the road.
It is rare that we have a guest that leaves me feeling like I feel right now with excitement,
disappointed,
with extreme disappointment.
But it's not released yet. That's why.
That's right. I am so excited, Jordan. Clearly, you have immeasurable talent. Like I said, I'm going to share this everywhere. I want everybody to see this. I want everybody to have you on their show. I want this to get out, and I want you to have a Wheel of Time Kickstarter eventually that breaks Kickstarter records. I don't care. I want it. Also, Carrie, I love that you brought this up because we have been peer pressuring him into WatCon for like 3 days now.
And that's the one that's in July, right?
Yes, that's the one that's in July. It's in Columbus,
July
Ohio.
is a great month, not just because of WatCon and my birthday and your projected date for Eye of the World. But if it's available come like July 15th as a day, that would just be
I mean,
fantastic.
That'd be something.
someone might could arrange for you to unveil it at WatCon. I mean,
Could be a thing.
True. Could be a thing.
Could be a thing.
could be.
Also, so link to the pre-order for the Eye of the World soundscape is in the description down below. Go and check it out. And also, don't forget, you can use code TOWER25 to get 25% off your purchases over on Jordan's website. So go spend all the monies. We know in the U.S. here it's tax season, so refunds are coming in. And this would be
That's
an incredible
right.
use of a
So
small
you have
portion
no
of your refund.
excuse.
But go and do it. Get the word out. Share it to all of your friends, especially all of your audiobook friends. And it's definitely going to get someone like me that doesn't really do audiobooks into audiobooks. I'm going to have to make sure I get all the files. Collect them all. I'm
Gotta
excited.
collect them all.
I am beyond excited. And we'll have to have you on again in the future as you go through this. As you have time and we can make it work in the schedule.
We can even do like a listening party where we just toss on one of the chapters and
We've already got you on the hook for a book club. I'm just saying, like, don't play, sir.
that would be
We're
so
here.
much
We're
fun.
sold. We're in.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here, a part of an extremely exciting episode of the Black Tower podcast. I want to say thank you to our guest, Jordan. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for your talents. We're looking forward to seeing what you can do. I'm going to say thank you for my new background here. This is a rendition of the construction of the Black Tower. If you know her and if you know her, you love her. Her name is Tree Hugger. She's the best. She's a talented artist. She takes commissions. This is one that I commissioned for the construction of the Black Tower. I'm looking forward to soundscapes. I'm looking forward to conventions. I'm looking forward to seeing your smiling faces again. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's dose of taint. We thank you for being here. From all of us here at the Black Tower, I have been Josh, your Soravan Mahale. And wherever you are in the world, we hope you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first got here.
And I have been Andrew. You're officially blown away, Mahale. Oh, now I'm going to be like, oh.
I'm going to go to sleep to that tonight.
I don't even know if I can go to sleep tonight. Yeah. I mean, I have enough problems going to sleep half the time anyway. I don't know if I can do it now. Every time there's a thunderstorm, and I live in the Southeast, so it's pretty frequent coming up here in the spring. Every thunderstorm, I'm just going to be sitting in the recliner, just thinking about Eye of the World. And Jordan's incredible talent with shaping an entire
You guys are
scene
far too
with
kind.
audio. I mean, you're far too talented. This shouldn't be.
Thank you. I was about to say that.
No. He's a witch. So, but thank you all again, everyone. Go. We can't say it enough. Go and check out all Jordan stuff. It's all in the description down below. Show your support. Share it out. Spread it out. Spread the love. And this episode is live on the 19th
ish,
16th. Next Friday, whatever that is, because I know that helps out.
It's the morning of the 16th. So if it's the morning of the 16th, happy Friday morning to you.
Yeah. Share this out and let everybody know that they can get some teasers and sneak peeks at some of Jordan's amazing work on the Wheel of Time. But like Josh said earlier, thank you all so much from the Black Tower podcast for being here. We love you all, and we'll see you again next week for another episode